Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binder and Ash Paulson to answer your questions about what's in store for Nintendo's future in 2018. So let's get right to it. Alright guys, so we've already posted 2 discussions about what we expect from Nintendo in 2018, and yet there's still more we could talk about, including one major thing that we totally forgot about somehow. So we're going to launch right into the questions here, starting with Andrew, who asks, do you think we'll see another Classic Edition from Nintendo? Will it be a Nintendo 64 or a Game Boy? And could they do it like a Game Boy in the shape of the Super Game Boy? So what do you guys think? Are we going to see another Classic system this year? And if so, which one is it going to be?
We're definitely going to get another Classic Edition. I know the rumor, when we talked to Roger, he seemed dead set on it being a Game Boy Classic, which is possible, but it's so... like, we don't know exactly what form it'll take, so it makes it a lot more nebulous than a Nintendo 64 Classic would be. If it is a Game Boy Classic, I don't see them doing it in the shape of a Super Game Boy, because the whole point of the Classics line is emulating what they originally were, and as memorable as the Super Game Boy was, that's not what people think of when they think Game Boy.
Right.
So I don't think that's how the Game Boy Classic would actually take shape. So honestly, even though I forget Roger's source or how he came about it and thinking Game Boy Classic was going to be next, I'm still leaning more towards Nintendo 64 Classic.
Yeah, I'm kind of split on this. I'm not split on there being another Classic Edition this year. There absolutely will be. At least I think there will be. And there will certainly be many more Classics down the line, period. But as for whether the next one will be N64 or Game Boy, I know the obvious signs point to N64, but I'm kind of leaning toward Game Boy.
Do they? The obvious signs?
Well, wasn't there a patent for, like, didn't Nintendo recently file a patent for a new N64 controller or something of that along that nature or along those lines?
Maybe, I don't remember that.
It was a couple months back or something.
Well, there was some kind of copyright registration, I think, for a Game Boy or something. Derek, you did the update for that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I've done so many updates, I can't keep track of at this point. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know there's been some sort of evidence for both of them in some ways, I think.
Okay, well, I don't think it matters too much, Ash, because I agree with you that I think they're going to go with the Game Boy first. The
hard thing is it's a portable, and we've already talked about the 3DS and how it's going. This might be its last year and everything else, and if they're going to emulate it like that, we're going to have it on a tiny little screen, and we've all agreed that we want it on our big screen. We want to use that HDMI cord. So how do you do that with a Game Boy Classic? And that's going to be like, I'm sure Nintendo has a solution if they decide to do it, but I don't know what it could be.
They could just use a Switch dock. You just plug into the Switch dock and it puts around the TV.
I guess so, yeah.
It's
also limiting its audience that you would need a Switch.
Well, I mean, only for the TV. If it's an actual self-contained portable, it'll still work in that sense too.
What if the actual answer here is a lot more obvious and a lot less exciting than we're making it, which is they do a Game Boy Classic, but they don't make it a portable. Even though the original Game Boy is a portable, they just say, hey, here's our next Classic line. You can play Game Boy games on the TV, all these games you used to love, and that's it. And it isn't. There's no screen in there. It's just a Game Boy Classic that you can play Game Boy games on the TV. What if they did that?
Yeah, we actually talked about that back in our discussion about this very idea, and I think I was championing that idea pretty hard too. But I thought about it a lot more, and I've come around now. I think it does have to be like a portable system. I think that's the one that will get the attention. Regardless of how much I personally want that, or how much people would even use that in general, I kind of think now it needs to be that. That's what the Game Boy is known for. I think the Game Boy Classic does need to be a portable system. And I have to admit, I think it would be kind of cool, at least in the short term, to have instant access to like 30 games on this really super portable form factor, assuming I had like a Game Boy Pocket style form factor.
See, I would like that, but I would want that to be an option. Like, I want it to be a handheld, but I also, like, the main draw for me is to be able to play it on my TV.
And I totally agree with that too. I mean, I prefer that, but at this point, I'm thinking it needs to be a handheld first, with possible TV functionality built on top of that. I personally want that more, but I could see them going purely the handheld route, but I hope they do offer some kind of way to put it on the TV. But regardless, I do think that would come first before an N64 Classic, if only so they can get all their 2D games, their 2D systems out of the way before moving on to, the 3D ones, being the 64.
It's very possible. I mean, I can totally admit to being wrong if they do go Game Boy instead of N64.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to James's question, who asks, do you think Nintendo will be able to keep up the one big game a month format in 2018? And more specifically, I think he's talking about the Switch. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Is Nintendo going to have a big release for the Switch every single month?
Well, I mean, unless they announce something for release within the next 27 days, no. I already don't think that's going to happen. But I also don't think it needs to, necessarily. I think they've done such a great job shoring up their third-party support for the Switch, which is incredible after the Wii U, that, I definitely do think they're going to keep their production up. I do think we're going to see tons, or, quite a few tentpole releases from Nintendo throughout 2018. Will they maintain the 1 month release schedule, or 1 game per month release schedule? I don't know about that, but I also don't know if it's a deal breaker if they don't.
I'm of the opinion that we're probably going to see a little bit of a lull. It's probably going to be closer to the launch where we got a game or two here that hold out, and then by June, then all of a sudden we get a bunch of games as well. This is sort of like the build-up Steam part, then we're going to release it all for the rest of the year. Because if you remember the Switch, when the Switch launched, of course we had Zelda, then we had Mario Kart, and then we didn't really have much until ARMS, as far as Nintendo's first-party offerings.
Right.
So there's that. Plus, Nintendo didn't really have anything themselves in August. I mean, they were part of the Mario Plus Rabbids, but that was Ubisoft's development, so not them. They didn't have to.
Yeah, but it's a first-party property, though, so I think that kind of still counts.
True, in its own way. But yeah, I think we're going to see. I think it's possible, but it's going to take a little rev-up period.
Well, the bigger omission is, November. There was no big November launch. Mario was close, to November, but there was no other big October. Or no, I guess there was Fire Emblem Warriors. I keep forgetting about, like everyone else in the world. And then, as you mentioned, the Switch didn't even have a full year on the market up to this point, so I guess they're mirroring last year. January not having anything kind of fits the bill. I could totally see them having some small eShop game, though, announced in the January Direct. I don't expect anything major, but I could totally see some kind of first-party thing that comes out immediately after, perhaps. I think we may see something similar to last year, a similar pace, but they're not going to have a major release every month. It's not going to happen this year, and I don't think they need to, as you were kind of saying, Ash. I think the third-party support is going to be stronger this year than it has been in, 15 years? So.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but, their Nindies lineup. I mean, this year, if nothing else, it proved that every year, they've got a deluge of great indie games, mostly great indie games, releasing literally every week. So there's so much to play on the Switch at any given moment. I think they've kind of realized they've built up this buffer now that they don't need to have a blockbuster first-party release coming out every month. And really, that's not realistic if you consider the realities and the cost of game development. It isn't really that realistic for them to have a blockbuster first-party IP release every month.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan asks, do you think Nintendo will add cloud saves and a better friend experience to the paid online service? Could they also have an achievement system?
They better for the first two. I don't think they'll do an achievement system, but I really do hope they will add things like cloud saving and a better friend experience. I don't know if I believe they will, but I believe they better if they're going to make us pay for it.
Cloud saving would be really nice. I mean, I would love if you were able to go to a friend's house, log into your account, and have full access to everything you've done, your games, your save files. That'd be really useful, so you don't have to drag your Switch, well, I say that like it's a big hassle.
I was gonna say, it's so hard to bring the Switch to anything.
But if you have a bunch of physical games, you have to bring all those with you, for instance. And I'd rather not take my Switch if I know my friend has one, and I know I won't need it for any other purpose but to bring up something I have on mine. So, yeah, I think that'd be nice, especially with the fact that if you lose your Switch currently, you're screwed. That's it. Everything you have on your Switch is locked to that Switch.
Exactly.
So it would be, I think Nintendo, this is some area they need to improve on, and that would be nice to have as part of this paid service. It'd be nice if it were free. It'd be better if it were free.
I don't think they'll make you pay for that as far as just being able to transfer, because I don't know about cloud saves, but I definitely think they're going to have a solution so you can get your save data from one system to another.
Yeah, I think that'll come eventually, and I think that specifically would come as part of a free firmware update. But in terms of the other stuff, like cloud saving and an overall better friend experience, that's what they should add with the paid online service, but I'm going to go out and say that I don't I either don't think they will, or I think they're going to get it wrong the first time, and it's going to take them a while to get to where we would like it to be. Because if there's one area Nintendo has not improved in over the last year, it's been online. So I just don't know if I believe they're going to come correct with it. I want them to, but right now I'm just going to say it's going to disappoint us. Whatever this paid online service is, the feature set, I don't think it's going to be what we want it to be.
It even launches this year.
If it even launches this year, yeah.
Exactly.
Good point.
And real quick, achievements. Do you think they're coming? We had that rumor a little while ago from some developer saying that
That's true.
according to them, it was coming. So, but we all know that was conjecture or what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's hard. Like, I could see it, but I could also see them just continuing as is with no issues, you know?
It doesn't really feel like a very Nintendo thing to do, achievements. It just... Nintendo's always been about gaming for gaming's sake, fun for fun's sake, and not necessarily about, you know, grafting something on top of that, like an additional achievement system. So, I don't know, it doesn't feel like something Nintendo would do, but I forgot there was that rumor. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah.
I mean, you say that, Ash, but if you look at their mobile games, they're kind of all about that, aren't they? They have...
Well, they are. I mean, I kind of consider mobile its own sphere. I mean, in terms of game, you know, Nintendo game design. But yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I agree, though. I don't think that's coming, but we'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, not the Tank Engine Northeast asks. Did you add that, Derek, or is that part of his
No,
name?
that's all him.
All right.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's all him.
With the Switch being so successful with a radical change from the norm, do you think Microsoft or Sony will make any future attempts to capitalize on the newly established portable home console market, like they did with the Wii and motion controls?
This is a really good question. I really like this one because in the past we've seen them both do it.
Yeah.
It's been a very common thing because of the Wii. The Wii came out, was super popular. All of a sudden, Sony had the Move, and Microsoft had the Kinect, which is now dead.
Yeah, officially as of today. That's right.
Yeah, it's been completely discontinued. So there is precedent from Sony and Microsoft to taking Nintendo's ideas and trying to capitalize them on their own. For whatever reason, though, I don't think they're going to do this one because Sony already kind of attempted that with the Vita in some way. Not of course, the dedication that the Switch had with it, but the idea was kind of there. And Microsoft has never really gone into the portable market. They've always been about that Xbox One X experience, like the best console, the most powerful, look how pretty this looks type thing. Like, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So I don't think making something portable and not as powerful is quite in their line of sight yet. They might just treat it as its own thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, to hear Sony tell it, I mean, you know, they would tell you that they already have what the Switch can do via remote play. Obviously, you know, we know that's not obviously not the same thing, but their PR would say, oh, we can already do that. You could do remote play with PS4 and PS Vita. That said, I feel like if this was to happen, it would be likelier for Sony to be the one to try to do this, because I feel like Sony has a richer history of trying to take what has worked for Nintendo and kind of make it work for them. Microsoft kind of, I don't know, I mean, they did have their smart glass thing, which tried to somewhat emulate a Wii U gamepad, I guess, but no, I don't see Microsoft trying to do a portable console. I just don't see it happening. They seem to be more, as you said, Derek, they seem to be mostly interested in having their ultimate 4K gaming experience. And, I mean, they also seem to be having enough trouble getting a good first-party lineup on the Xbox line of systems anyway. So I think a portable console is probably the furthest thing from their mind at the current moment. But for Sony, you know, they do love to try things that work for Nintendo and try to, you know...
Oh, so Sony's been doing it from the beginning. Like, the N64 got analog stick. We got to have DualShock with analog sticks.
Yeah, you got two of them
got Rumble.
with Rumble pads.
Let's have Rumble.
Yeah,
that's right, exactly.
At the same time, though, I don't think Sony's going to try to do anything this time, and here's why. And that's because, you know, they weren't necessarily in as good a place in the market when they, you know, like, oh, we got the Wii, let's do PlayStation Move. You know, we got the DS, they did so well with the DS, let's do the PSP, let's do the PS Vita. They had, you know, good reason to try to invest in that. Right now, they don't. The PS4 is sitting pretty as the #1 system in the world by a huge margin. It's not even close. They don't really need to try and grab more market share. They've already got most of it.
Yeah, and I think they can almost hurt the Switch more by making it so that the games that can be played on the PS4 and Xbox One are just simply not possible on the Switch by just outpowering it. So people were like, "Ooh, look at that experience!" I mean, I know I could take something on the go, but look how much prettier it is. That kind of thing.
Yeah, like by continuing
that will
the
sway
game.
people.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right, Ash, that Sony has historically been the one that copies Nintendo more. But in this case, I actually think Microsoft to be the more likely one to go a portable route. And that's for a few different reasons. So first up is the fact that I think Sony might actually be done with portable hardware, at least for the near-term future. They've tried twice with the PSP and Vita, and while the PSP did pretty well, the Vita kind of fell off a cliff. And I think Sony themselves have even alluded to the fact that it sounds like they are done for now with portable consoles, or portable handhelds, I should say. And now with the PS4 being a success, they really don't have any incentive. I've said before that Nintendo really is the only company I feel like could have pulled off the Switch. They're the only ones in the position where they could legitimately say this next platform, a portable console, is our next platform without being perceived as a step back from what their current console was, which was a Wii U. No other current platform holder can do that. Now, at the same time, with PS4 or Sony having a success with a PS4, Microsoft has been kind of floundering this generation by comparison, which is why I think they'd be more likely to take a risk on this, and especially with the fact given that they are now kind of decentralizing these games, like they're no longer focused on just a console or a single piece of hardware. It's more of a platform with most of the Xbox exclusives now coming to PC. I could easily see them creating some kind of portable device, one that they're not entirely dependent on, and making it part of the Xbox brand, especially given the fact that PC games already scale. Like, they're already made to scale on these platforms, so it would be pretty trivial for them to have a single handheld platform for them to, cater to.
That's a good point. And you'd only have to change a single consonant. X-Boy. There you go. There's your name.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Those are all good points, though, Andre. Like, I didn't consider those angles. Yeah, you definitely are onto something there, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But either way, I want to clarify that none of this is happening in 2018. So, at best, we get an announcement, but there's no way we're getting a portable system from either of them this year. Well, I had this question at the end before, but I kind of feel like it fits in now, so I'm going to bring it up here. So, Iftikhar asks, could we see revisions or hardware upgrade variants of the Switch?
Not this year.
Not this year. We might see it, but they're sitting... I think they're in a good position right now. Like, let's do well with this, and then maybe in 2019, once sales start maybe dragging a little bit, then introduce some upgrades and stuff like that.
That's my angle, too. I think 2019 is possible, but 2018 is too soon. I don't think we're going to see a hardware refresh that quickly.
Yeah, so I would say we definitely see one by 2019 for sure. I think it's unlikely this year, but I'm not gonna completely rule it out. I think it is possible that we see some kind of like subtle bump to it, where maybe they'll throw in the next generation processor, which could theoretically run, every game at 1080p on, or every game in docked form while in handheld form too. So I'm not gonna rule it out. I don't think it's impossible, because by that point, the Switch by the time it will come out, presumably in November, the Switch would almost already be 2 years old, or I guess closer to a year and a half, but not that far off, so...
I mean, how long did it take for them to have a revision of the DS and the Game Boy Advance?
Well, the Game Boy Advance, the SP came out less than 2 years, I believe, after the original Game Boy.
Okay.
However...
I think in both of those cases, I think there was a very obvious flaw that just needed to be fixed, and I don't see anything like that for the Switch other than lack of power, like you mentioned, Andre.
The kickstand.
I'm not going to buy a new Switch just for a better kickstand.
No.
I mean, if it's included, yeah, I'll take it. But
I mean, like I said, it's unlikely, but I don't think it's impossible. We have already seen tons of mobile devices already on the annual schedule, whether it be phones or laptops or any number of things. So I could see Nintendo releasing upgraded versions of the Switch on a closer to annual basis than they've ever done before, although the portable systems really haven't been that far off from it historically, in order to stay more relevant, or more, competitive rather, I should say, from a technology perspective.
I feel like there's no real reason for Nintendo to do that. I feel like that could send the wrong message to consumers, like a year and a half in, they don't have enough confidence in their system that's obviously selling well to, to not introduce a new version of that system so soon. Like, I just feel like there's no...
I mean, would you say that about the PS4, though? Like, did they not have confidence in its continued success with
that's true. I mean, that's a fair point, but also Sony and Nintendo, their mythos are very different.
Oh
And
yeah, no, they are for sure. But this is a time of change for Nintendo. This is a
That's
different
true
Nintendo
as well.
than we were looking at just
It
a few
is,
years ago.
and normally I would say, nah, they're not going to revise their console, but the fact that it's also portable,
Right.
that makes it a little bit more likely.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
'Cause
they're
they've made
yeah.
tons of revisions to their portables.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm almost pretty sure that there's going to be a revision eventually of the Switch at some point. I just don't think it's going to be this year, because I just don't feel like Nintendo needs to do it. I feel like the Switch is sitting so pretty right now that them trying to mess with that by introducing a new model when it isn't, it's not failing, it's not suffering even, it's thriving. So I just feel like until that element is introduced, like you said, Derek, if sales start dragging a bit, or some need is introduced for a refresh, then we'll see it. But before that, I don't see why Nintendo would want to mess with something that isn't broken.
The DS Lite, by the way, came out about a year and a half after the original DS as well, sooner in Japan.
Now
So,
that's a good point, although that, as Derek kind of mentioned, I see that as more reactionary. I think that was a reaction to a problem that needed to be fixed. Whereas this, I mean, it really did. That lack of a backlight in the original GBA was pretty egregious.
On top of the DS Lite.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the DS Lite, my
Didn't
bad.
the DS lack a backlight as well, though?
It had one, it was just dim. It was really
Yeah.
dim, but compared to
Yeah.
the DS Lite, so...
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
I did not buy a DS until the DS Lite came out. Like, I stayed away. So that
Yeah.
revision was necessary.
Yeah.
Well, it could be that maybe if we don't see one in 2018, which again I said is unlikely, if they follow the release schedule of the Switch, maybe it'll come out the following March, only a few months after. So
Yeah.
Could be.
yeah. All right, moving on. Jan the Man asks, could GameCube games finally make their long-awaited debut on Virtual Console this year?
Depends if we get the Virtual Console. Like, if we get the Virtual Console and this rumor is right, GameCube is going to be there almost immediately, because that is a huge selling point.
I think it's going to happen, but again, as I've been saying, I don't think it's going to be called or positioned as Virtual Console releases. I think they're just going to, kind of like they did with the Wii, not Wii eShop, but like when on the Wii U you had Wii games you could download. They weren't technically Virtual Console games, I don't think. They were just Wii games you could play on Wii U. That's kind of how I see them doing this. Like, I do think GameCube games will eventually appear, but I think you'll just be able to buy it as, like, you know, Super Mario Sunshine platform Nintendo Switch, not like Super Mario Sunshine for GameCube Virtual Console. You know what I mean?
I kind of agree, yeah. I think if we see it at all, it wouldn't be in the form of a Virtual Console, but I do think we'll see whatever that new version of Virtual Console is this year, and in that case, I do think we would finally see GameCube games. Which would be nice. Yeah, I want to play GameCube games, so...
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to see people finally have a chance to play Path of Radiance and maybe even Radiant Dawn, because those are two great Fire Emblem games that not a lot of people have gotten to try out because they're so expensive. So then there's a lot of other great GameCube games that you could finally try, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and I know Andre's really excited to play Mario Sunshine in particular on handheld mode.
Oh, dude,
That's been a long, cherished dream of his.
I want to play Mario Sunshine out in the actual sunshine. Like, how great would that be, right? I can go around cleaning up the streets, too, like Mario does in that game. It'd be perfect. All right. Well, speaking of playing old games, Fernando asks, is it a good idea to keep porting Wii U games in 2018?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, to be honest, we've only gotten, in 2017, we only got, what, Pokken Tournament and Mario Kart? Mm-hmm. I think those are the only two Wii U ports we saw, off the top of my head. And of course, we'll very soon get a port of Bayonetta 1 and 2. I think if they keep up that, whether or not inundating you with a bunch of Wii U ports, it's fine. But I also think there's a lot of stuff that did pretty well in the system, or has a better chance of thriving on the Switch. So there are a few more games on the Wii U I would like to see ported to the Switch, and I don't think it would hurt its standing whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I think continued Wii ports are a good idea to a point. Like, I don't think they should lean too heavily on that. Like, right. I would be monumentally disappointed to see, like, any part of their year for Switch's year 2 lean too heavily on Wii U re-releases. Like, they can't lean too heavily on it, but yes, absolutely they should keep doing it, because there are so many fantastic Wii U games that I've said before were underplayed because of the Wii U's abysmal sell-through. So, yeah, they got to get those great games in front of more eyes, and I think the Switch is a perfect place for those games to thrive, as long as they don't end up leaning too heavily.
That's exactly how you fill in the gaps. You port over games
Yeah.
a lot of people may have missed owing to the Wii U's smaller user base, add some extra features for those who are returning to the game, and there you go. You have a game that's compelling on the Switch that a lot of people missed originally.
Yeah, I think people would be really excited for, definitely for Wind Waker or Twilight Princess on the Switch.
I fully expect to see those there eventually. Like, that would be too weird if we didn't.
Yeah, I would personally love if they made a Hyrule Warriors Deluxe that took all the 3DS content that was added in as just combined it all into one super game for the Switch, you know?
Oh man,
I like the way you think. I'd be all about it.
I've been championing the idea of a Donkey Kong pack, you know, with in HD on the Switch, updating the Donkey Kong Country Returns, and they could do the same thing, bring in the new content they added over in the DS or in the 3DS version and add it into the HD version on Switch.
And as far as games that did not do quite as well, I think I want Tokyo Mirage Sessions to have another shot at life, you know?
No, I was thinking that actually, Derek. I really, yeah.
I think that's a game that's not going to come back again. I think that
probably not, but I can dream.
Hey, I'll dream with you. I think that game deserves another shot at life. I don't know if it'll get it, but I think it should. And yeah, I mean, there's so many great games they could get in front of more people on the Switch. It's just a matter of whether it actually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Some Numbers Guy asks, what are your thoughts on the placeholder titles found on Amazon? So more specifically, I believe there were 18 placeholder titles found on Amazon that alluded to the idea that they'd be filled in, you know, once those are officially announced or something. Do you think they are anything, and what do you think they could mean?
There's a few weird things about this to me. Like, they range in price from $60 to $100. So the assumption is there's some special editions in mind. Okay, that seems a little weird to me. And the other thing was that caught my eye, and I don't pay attention to Amazon this much after events, but one of the other things they said in that was recently announced, like they had this little banner, like recently announced at Nintendo's latest event or something along those lines. And I don't know if Amazon usually does that, which I think this is a real thing, but people found it on Amazon, but it still seems weird to me. Like, I don't fully know what to think about it all, you know?
I don't really think anything about it. I think I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, maybe this makes me boring, but I mean, look, we know a Nintendo Direct's coming up. We know for damn sure they're going to announce new Switch games, more than one. I mean, yeah. So even whether this is, you know, predicting, or whether these are placeholder titles for things that will be announced during the Direct or not, I'm not sure I see why it matters, you know?
I mean, of course there are 18 more games coming to the Switch.
Exactly. It's like,
duh.
Either way, we're going to find out what they are eventually. It's like, and we'll never know.
It's great to think that it might be possible to have 18 brand new games.
Well, I'm sure some people think there are like 18 brand new first-party games coming, you know?
Oh, no, it's definitely not all first-party.
No way. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is like the internet rumor equivalent of somebody saying, hey, guess what? I heard there are new games coming out on the Switch pretty soon. And it's like, well, yeah. Okay.
Shocker.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay.
All right. Mocha asks, do you think we'll get another game like Mario plus Rabbids? And by that I mean another third-party developer taking on their characters and making it great.
I mean,
this year, I don't know.
Technically, that's what they did with Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors. As, you know,
yeah.
That Koei Tecmo is definitely a third party.
And we've seen other kinds of crossovers too, with Skyrim having Zelda content. And there was another game along those lines too. I'm trying to blank
this is a lot older, but Pokemon Conquest, which was a crossover between Pokemon and Nobunaga's Ambition.
And we just got done talking about Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which itself is a crossover between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei. So, you know, I mean, now that I start thinking about all the different ways in which Nintendo franchises have actually crossed over with other franchises, even in small ways, like the Skyrim DLC or the Skyrim Zelda DLC. I kind of do think we might see a crossover element. I don't know if we'll see another crossover game in 2018, but I think we'll see some sort of, you know, Nintendo IP crossing over for some reason, for some.
Not DLC, just to clarify. It was built into the game, but...
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it wasn't DLC. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just built in. But I will say this. I think we'll get a Mario plus Rabbids sequel by 2019. Because Ubisoft likes to kick out those sequels pretty quick. But considering we're getting story DLC for the game by June... yeah, well, it's probably going to take a little bit longer, than usual, plus, Nintendo checking on things or whatever they might do. But I think as far as a game that's just as weird and as random, and especially taking a character like Mario, which does not happen too often with third parties, something of that caliber, I don't know if we'll actually see anything like that.
Not that caliber, but I mean, it's hard to top that. So
yeah.
But I think we will definitely see some kind of crossover this year. I'm just not sure, or I think there's a good chance to see a crossover this year. I just don't know what form it might take. So,
you know, it's funny. We've been talking about all these crossovers. We didn't talk about the original crossover, which is actually a much bigger deal than Mario and Rabbids in some ways, which was Mario and Sonic. But it was a less bigger deal because it's just an Olympic Game series. So we actually have had that big Mario Sonic crossover years ago. But it just doesn't matter.
I love how they found the least exciting way to have that crossover
I know!
possible.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
Just because they don't want to make it a platformer because that would be just too obvious. Like, yes, give it to us.
Like, that would be like making a Mega Man Sonic crossover and making it like a sports game or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mega Man Soccer.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There you go. Honestly, we probably will hear something about the next Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games game, because isn't the Winter Olympics this year?
Maybe that might... How sad would that be if that was the answer to this question? Is that it's another... Yes, there is going to be one, but it's another Mario and Sonic
Maybe
game.
it'll actually be decent.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there is one, which of course there will be, it's like death, it's like death and taxes. Of course, it's gonna be another Mario Sonic Olympic game. It's going to be huge on Switch, like no question about that. So I'd be shocked if there isn't one. Endless Duelist asks, current feelings on My Nintendo and how it can improve. For example, not a single Switch reward up yet, despite the coming soon banner since inception. So what do you guys think? Is this the year that My Nintendo could become something more worthwhile, or will they just continue to keep it as it is?
Probably just keep it as it is, because I haven't thought about My Nintendo in all of 2017.
Did we even bring it up in our discussion? I don't think we did.
Nope, not even a mention, because it's just... I don't earn anything. Well, I earn stuff, but I don't have anything to spend it on. There's nothing interesting there. It's discounts on stuff that I already have on systems that are old. Maybe if they have some interesting Switch discounts, they can actually do something with it. But as it is, it's just sort of there.
Right. Derek, I am appalled. You can pay coins for mobile phone wallpaper. If that's not good enough for you, you can't you can't redeem your coins for phone wallpaper?
I could probably download it.
No, that's my whole point. It's just ridiculous. Like, My Nintendo has been such a... I don't even know what to call it at this point, other than a dumpster fire. Like, compared to Club Nintendo, Club Nintendo is so much better. And I get why they changed it. I get why they switched to the new model. Pun not intended. However, they got to do something more with it. Like, My Nintendo, it's just so empty. There's no point in participating. The rewards are just... so flat.
Yeah, they're unexciting. Yeah, you can't get excited over a coupon. It's
I mean, and I get that they want to just probably eliminate the cost of shipping out all the cool little items and the production costs. I get that, but at the same time, that's the kind of stuff that I'd want to spend reward points on. Like, obviously not a wallpaper that I can get for free, but also not discount coupons. And they're not even good discount coupons. It's like a 15% discount for Skyward Sword on Wii. Like, what?
Yeah. There's a few problems with it. I do like that they finally moved away from the Club Nintendo model where you had to manually enter every code you got with the game. So that's a good improvement. But I personally found the whole idea of My Nintendo a little bit cumbersome. Like, with 3 different forms of currency, 3 different coins.
Yeah.
Expiration dates.
Yeah, I mean, what they should do is, since they're already just doing discounts, they should just move to a completely flat model, I feel like, and have it so once you reach a certain threshold, that gives you a flat discount whatever game you want.
I mean, we've talked about it in the past, but how about some Switch themes?
Switch themes or eShop, or general eShop discounts.
Right.
So you don't have to, redeem points for a discount on a specific game. Just let me save up points. I got, 5,000 points? Okay, that gets me a $5 discount on an eShop. Done.
Yep.
Like, honestly, it should be, what they should do is look at the Wii U Premium program, whatever that was called they did, where you got eShop credit for buying eShop games. It was easy. It was the metrics were easy, the math was simple, and it was just a simple rewards program. They should do that for Switch. Or they should turn My Nintendo into that.
Totally agreed. Alright, Top Tier Talo asks, After 3 games starring Mario on Switch in 2017, being Kart, Odyssey, and Rabbids, do you think we'll see any in 2018, such as Mario Party Sports or Mario Maker?
Well, we already talked about one, Mario and Sonic.
Yeah, right. So I guess I guess yes.
So we'll get at least that. As far as we talked about Mario Maker and not being sure whether that's going to hit this year or not. I'm of the opinion they're going to probably wait a little bit longer. I would like a better Mario Party on the Switch. I don't know if it'll happen. Or, a decent Mario sports game made by Camelot where they can actually do something interesting. But again, I don't know if that'll happen. So I can see some of this happening, but I don't know if it'll be any good.
Well, hold on. Camelot, even Camelot's been dropping the ball recently, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I think we'll definitely see at least one other Mario game beyond Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I'm not quite sure what it could be. It could possibly be Mario Party. But I don't think we'll see a big Mario release this year, outside of possibly a DLC expansion pack for Mario Odyssey.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we'll get some. It's very possible we'll get some Odyssey DLC. Mario and Sonic is also an obvious possibility. Of these games, though, I actually do kind of think Mario Party 11 might get announced at E3, just because that series will never die, and it seems to. I don't know. It seems to do well enough from installment to installment somehow that Nintendo keeps. I mean, when we got Mario Party back in the N64, did you ever think it would make it to Mario Party 10? So I kind of feel like of these 3. Mario Party 11 may actually get announced this year.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. It would have been 2 years, I think, then, since the Wii U version.
Mario Party 10, yeah.
Yeah, and we really do need I was gonna say we need a good Mario Party, but I don't think there's any guarantee we'd get that. So,
do we need another Mario Party game? Is that
we don't need another Mario Party?
Yeah,
I would love a good one.
Perfect for the damn Switch.
It actually is. Yeah, it actually is perfect for the Switch. Yeah. But it won't be online, even if they do it. Nintendo will still be the only major developer in 2018 releasing games without online support.
They really do need to make that game online.
They'll do
it. Because, I mean, I totally get the argument, for why S2 it isn't online. Playing these games with strangers could be terrible. There's straight up, it could be a terrible experience. But at the very least, I would love to be able to play with you guys, to sit down for an hour or two online, play with my friends online in Mario Party.
Yeah.
So. But then again, you need voice chat for that.
Especially with that, they would have to have voice chat for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not even a question. That is guaranteed. You need voice chat. You know what I would love? Holy crap! They should go to they should take some a page from Jackbox from the Jackbox Party Pack.
That would be sweet,
right? Introduce streaming modes. Allow the audience to participate in these games, whether it's voting in some of these, some contests, or introducing hazards into a particular mini game. I don't know. There's so much they could do with that idea. Make Mario Party social. Holy crap!
Make Mario Party great again.
Or maybe just if they have some way to interact and they can push a button, they can do one thing during the mini game, so they get the audience times when they mess with the players.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Exactly. There's so much they could do. That would open the floodgates to being amazing. I mean, they shouldn't hinge everything on that. Obviously, if you're not online, then that wouldn't work. But that would be such a great way to kind of mix it up and help. I feel kind of reboot Mario Party. Mario Party needs a good old reboot.
It does.
That'd be a great way of doing it. So,
well, and I completely agree with everything you just said. I think all those ideas sound great. But how would you feel if they did do that, but it was all confined to that good old Nintendo Switch Online app? Because that's what they would do.
Yeah,
that's what they would do.
They would.
I forget that app even exists, honestly.
I know.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us have.
There's one game that supports it right now, still just Splatoon?
Just Splatoon 2, yeah.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. Aaron Gomez asks, thoughts on 2018 being Star Fox's 25th anniversary?
I hope you enjoyed Star Fox Zero. I don't think it matters beyond that.
Oh, I mean, they missed their opportunity for we're celebrating the 25th anniversary. Here's the SNES Classic.
Yeah, you're right. We'll be lucky if we get a tweet, honestly.
I mean, you already got it. Star Fox 2. There's your anniversary gift, right?
Yeah,
I don't think there's going to be anything
because I don't think they'll ever put it on the Switch to buy on its own.
You know what? I could see it. No, I could definitely see it at some point, but not within the next year. Definitely, so not in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we were talking about Wii U ports. I guess there's a chance we could get a Star Fox Zero port on Switch this year, maybe. But why?
If we got a port, the thing is, if we got a port, it would fundamentally be a different game.
It'd have to be, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a very different game. So, yeah, so I don't think we'll see that even.
No. I don't think so either. I think, and I don't think we're going to see
anything.
anything.
So much that there's no way it's going to... There's no way it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I think Star Fox Zero, I think that title alone tells us all we need to know about the Star Fox franchise at this point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would love to see it come back. I mean, I would love to be surprised, and, you know, speaking of games that need reboots, that game kind of needs another one at this point, so...
Oh, God.
Although,
God,
you know, although I say this from the perspective of people in general, I actually like Star Fox Zero, but they can't even continue that gameplay on the Switch, as I just said. So they are kind of they are kind of stuck there with what they can do with the series.
Just find some other way to like have the same gameplay, but not be Star Fox 64 stories again. You know, that's all. Right. That's all I ask.
Yeah,
like bring in some elements from Star Fox 2 to the whole defending planets thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, what if they actually just did release Star Fox 3? Pick up right where Star Fox 2 left off.
That would actually be pretty sick.
That would be pretty cool. I would kind of love that idea.
Keep the old graphics and like just make it actually run at 30 frames.
What would that be? That's not really a reboot, but it kind of is at the same time. Is they're going back to a past version of the series?
I mean, it's almost kind of like how Mega Man 9 came out like 8 years after 8, even though they've been making all these other Mega Man games in other series since. So I mean, there is precedent for it, and I think that would be really cool.
Star Fox is all the same character continuity and character.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. So it's not exactly.
Games, it's not still classic Mega Man.
It's not. I know it's not exactly the same. I was just thinking of a somewhat similar example.
All right, here's a question from Pleb Trev asking: with Nintendo throwing more and more curveballs recently, my question would be, what is your prediction for Nintendo's biggest left field surprise in 2018? Whether it be a game, DLC, etc. So I'm going to answer this one first real quick, because he said left field surprise. So obviously the biggest left field surprise there could be is if Nintendo resurrected Left Field Studios and remade Excitebike 64.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
That was a well-researched answer. I like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sure. This just came up off the top of my mind because this is something I really actually do want to see happen, but Mario Paint 2 on Switch with touchscreen support and handheld mode, a mouse that you could buy for TV mode. I don't know, but I want to see Mario Party come back in a way that isn't
Mario Paint.
Yeah.
Left field surprise out of nowhere. One of their franchises gets a Netflix show.
Yes,
that may actually happen.
I don't know which one. I couldn't tell you, but I
still want that Zelda rumor from years ago to come true now.
Yeah,
I know. That's what I was thinking of.
All right. Well, speaking, I guess it's kind of along the same lines at this point. But SPO the Triforce asks, what are the chances of Nintendo franchises? What are the chances of Nintendo franchises returning, like Kid Icarus, Mother, and more?
0, 0, and
more. I want Kid Icarus on Switch so much. I do.
Me too. Yeah,
that would be a good one. Like the base game's already done, but they would have to redo the assets. But that would be a great strong contender. I think they could, I think they could iron out some of the rough edges for me at least. Not the least of which being the controls. And I think that could be a great game. It already has an online mode built in too, so that could be another online game for the Switch to help prop up their online service whenever that comes out.
Yeah, very true.
I just would do all sorts of unconscionable things to get Kid Icarus Uprising on Switch. I want it to happen so much. I don't think it's necessarily going to. I feel like Kid Icarus could maybe return still. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I feel like there maybe could be another Kid Icarus game down the road at some point, but I'm not expecting it. Mother, we know, is gone. Mother, unless Nintendo decides to revive the series without Shigesato Itoi's involvement, which is never going to happen, Mother's done. The only thing that could possibly happen with Mother at this point is Mother 3 being released here, and even then, who knows? So, maybe F-Zero. It feels like it's time. It feels like it's been time for a decade now.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I think F-Zero will come sometime this generation.
Yeah.
I don't know if this year is the year. I would love for it to be, but in fact, I would guess it won't be this year. But
yeah,
I do think it will come at some point. So, all right. Same question from Tanner of the North, except for Custom Robo. Is that coming out on Switch in 2018?
I think Custom Robo is pretty much dead at this point. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Just the idea behind it, but I don't think it's coming back.
I don't think it's dead for sure, but I do think it's not coming out this year. Or I don't think there'll be no one coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, if it's... Yeah.
it'd be really cool if Nintendo looks at the success and rather than just going over, it's like, all right, let's see if we can revive this. Here's Custom Robo. Let's see if we can revive this. Here's F-Zero. Here's this and this, you know?
You know what would be telling, I think, is if Custom Robo appears in Smash. If he appears in Smash, then yes, I think we would get another Custom Robo. If he doesn't, maybe it is over with. So.
Well, we were just talking about that question about, whether Nintendo will have a major release every month. If there's going to be something for January, it'll be an eShop only Custom Robo game, and there's your Custom Robo appearance for 2018.
I mean, I'd go with that if there wasn't another possibility of it being Mario vs. Donkey Kong 65.
That's a good point too. Yeah, there's that too. So no, I don't think there will be any Custom Robo announcement this year. But like you, Andre, I don't think it's necessarily dead. I just don't think it's coming back this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Woomy asks, could we see an Animal Crossing announcement? And we actually kind of already addressed this. So for me, yes, I think there's a very good chance we'll see Animal Crossing this year, particularly with Pocket Camp having come out. I think it'd be smart of them to capitalize on that momentum, whatever's left of it, and have a proper Animal Crossing this year.
I want to be such a jerk right now and say, oh yeah, we'll totally get an announcement of like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp expansions and updates. Yeah, totally. No, I think we will actually get a mainline Animal Crossing announcement on Switch this year. It feels like the right time, especially with Pocket Camp having just released. They probably want to have some sort of interaction between the two, so I do think that's going to happen this year, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. It feels like the right time. People have been dying for it forever. They know the audience is there. Just do it. Pull that trigger, Nintendo.
Journo Poet asks, is a Xenoblade Chronicles export possible?
Yes, but not this year. I think we've already talked about Monolith Soft working on some other game, whatnot. But I think X makes sense as a port shortly before X2 comes out. Because I fully believe that the next Xenoblade game we get, as far as something new, is going to be X2, because X ends with a hell of a cliffhanger. And if you want people picking up X2, you're going to want to re-release X on the Switch to take advantage of that, and get more people to play it, especially after the, I think, success of 2, at least in Japan. So it makes sense to me to eventually port X. I don't see it in 2018.
I actually feel like it's possible that could happen in 2018. I don't think it's necessarily going to, but I think there's a reason to do it. I mean, that could be a great late year, like a late 2018 release, much like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was. That'd be a great way to fill in any late year, late 2018 gaps in the release schedule with this literally massive, MMO that did really well on Wii U for what the Wii U was. So I don't think it's coming in 2018, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it actually was announced as Xenoblade Chronicles export.
Yeah, except it's definitely not an MMO. I mean, it's huge, but it's not an MMO.
Well, I mean, I meant like MMO elements. It has, but no, it's obviously not an MMO, but it's an open world RPG with MMO elements in it.
Yeah, it was online, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be another
elements of it.
That'd be another good online title to prop up that service if it ever comes out. So
yeah, yep.
All right.
I still I don't see X2 happening until like 2020, so that's why I think it's going to be 2019 for an export.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you both make strong arguments. I don't know where I fall on that. So, Adventures of Stoner asks, how amazing would a Luigi's Mansion 3 be? And
give it to me. I want it.
That'd be awesome.
I want it with a caveat being I want it in the style more of the original game than I do of the 3DS one.
You didn't like the mission-based structure?
No, I like the more open nature of the original.
Sure.
Like, where you had choice. Like, it felt like you were kind of unraveling a mansion, as opposed to, like, these more linear levels.
I want to combine the ideas. Like, I like the idea of multiple places for Luigi to go and changing up the aesthetics of what he's searching for. So, my caveat is, yeah, keep it to a single mansion, but make it more like Resident Evil 1 or 7, where this mansion is huge, and there's stuff to explore outside of the mansion that he can't quite get to, plus other offshoots that he gets to, and he finds just more and more elements all within this single place that you can explore and freely go around.
Do you think we might see it this year?
Maybe not.
It's actually not impossible, only because it's been several years since Dark Moon came out. So if they see that as a viable franchise to keep continuing on with, then we may very well see that happen this year.
I don't think Next Level Games has made another Nintendo game since then, right?
Federation Force. They don't talk about much.
How
they
could
made
I forget?
Federation Force.
Well, they might be looking for that redemption then, and Luigi's Mansion 3 would be a great way to get it.
Okay, well, if there is Luigi's Mansion 3, then right, based on Federation Force, I don't think it'd be out this year then. So possibly next year. I would love if it came sooner, if it exists at all. But yeah, looking at their timetable here, it seems unlikely we'd see another game from them so soon.
Unless they're not making it.
I mean, that's true. You're right. It could be a different developer. So, I mean, it was a different developer for the first one, being EAD, I think. So, yeah. I mean, hey, if EAD's taking it, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
Although I do love Next Level's humor. Like, they did a great job at that, portraying Luigi in the game.
I think Luigi's personality is so much better in Dark Moon than it was in the original. Like, he stands out so much more and has just this great sense of humor to him.
It's funny you mention that, because, I mean, Luigi's Mansion is kind of like what started Luigi's more modern persona. So
yeah, it is kind of.
It'd be fun to see what EAD would do with it these days. So, anyways,
yeah, it'd be cool.
Mass Merman asks, when do you think we'll see the King Knight campaign?
I think it's gonna be spring.
Yeah,
like sometime like March, April-ish, May, like early spring. Yeah.
It's come March. It'll be like a year since Spectral Torment came out. That seems about right.
That's true, actually. Yeah. So I'm thinking, sometime in that March to May spread is my guess for that.
Heck, we might even see it at this supposed direct. I could see that happen.
That's also true. Yeah. I mean, that could be like available now after the direct. Have fun, guys.
Oh, hell
That'd be something. That'd be really cool.
Like, when are those Amiibo coming out for the Shovel Knight?
Oh, I completely forgot about
included
those.
In that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I wonder when
maybe
those are
around the
coming
same
out.
time as that.
Yeah, that could be. But, yeah, I mean, either way, though, I think when it does come out, I think we might see it lead on Nintendo platforms, only because Yacht Club has really made no secret of the fact that they see Nintendo platforms as Shovel Knight's natural home. And Spectre of Torment came out on Switch first. It released along with the Switch, and then other platforms had to wait another month for it. So whenever it does come, I think it'll be exclusive to Switch and 3DS for a short amount of time.
Right on. A quick correction, his name was Mies Meerman, so I mispronounced that.
Oh.
Alright, next up, the Lofty asks, could Paper Mario or Paper Zelda appear on the Switch? And I'm going to tack on this year.
Paper Mario, maybe. Even if it's just a port of
oh god,
Color Splash. I don't know.
I guess that game does deserve to be played by more people, but I don't know if it would make a big splash on the Switch.
No, it wouldn't. But it would be a Paper Mario game on the Switch.
I mean, if they really wanted to get people excited, maybe a remake of the original or
Thousand Year Door. Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be cool. Yeah, HD re-releases. I'd be down for that. Yeah, I don't think we'll see a new Paper Mario. I think it's too soon for that.
Yeah.
So development-wise, if they had a different team working on Paper Zelda, that'd be amazing. I don't think we'll get that, but I actually think some of the gameplay elements we've seen in the more recent Paper Marios might actually work better in a Paper Zelda game. So I think that'd be really fun if they branched out like that.
I kind of feel like the Paper Mario has kind of reached a crossroads in some sense, and kind of like Mario and Luigi has. Like, obviously the Mario and Luigi series started running out of creative steam at around Paper Jam, I would say, and they probably realized that too, so they remade the first game. I kind of feel like it's time for Paper Mario to do that. I don't know where they go from Color Splash unless they just go full into action game territory and completely abandon RPG elements, or if they bring it back in and refocus on RPG elements. I just don't really know where they go from here, so why not remaster the first or second one, which they know people love.
Especially that's a launching off point for getting the series back on track. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Eddie asks, do you think a possible Dark Souls collection could come to the Switch? After all, From Software was listed during the January event's third-party developers.
I mean, it'd be huge if they did it, but online is a pretty big element of the Dark Souls games, because of the way you can go into each other's campaign, worlds and mess with each other and either help or hurt or that sort of thing. If a Dark Souls collection is announced, it's going to come to all systems, including Switch, if it is coming to Switch. But we got to see something from Software.
Yeah, I think a Dark Souls collection might be like shooting for the moon a bit, but I feel like we might see a Dark Souls something on the Switch. I don't know if it would be like just Dark Souls 3 or just the first game or something. I don't know if they'll do a whole collection, but I could see like a Dark Souls remaster or just a Dark Souls port. I don't know if it would be for the first game or not, but I kind of feel like something along those lines might happen.
I agree. Frocles asks, is a new Rhythm Heaven game possible in 2018?
It's anything is possible, but no, it's not likely at all.
I mean, if Nintendo's looking to fill in some gaps with an eShop title, it's not a bad choice.
Well, here's the thing, and I haven't looked into this recently, so I don't know what the current status on this is, but Tsunku, who is the guy who does a lot of the music and a lot of the design for Rhythm Heaven, is battling cancer, as far as I understand.
Oh, jeez.
And it's like I think it's throat cancer, and so I don't know if he can sing. And some of the song he sang some of the songs throughout the various Rhythm Heaven games. So I know he's dealing with his own personal challenges. I haven't looked into it, but there is that, of course, standing in the way of a new Rhythm Heaven game if he's still dealing with his health problems. So right. I would love to see it happen, and I do think I think there will be another Rhythm Heaven game eventually, but I don't think it's going to be this year.
Tim Ledger asks, are there any Amiibo that you guys think will appear next year? Well, now 2018. So
yeah. Yeah. Depends on the games.
Yeah.
It really does. Like if we get Kid Icarus, a new Kid Icarus Uprising, we might get new Kid Icarus games or Kid Icarus Amiibo. We might get more Animal Crossing Amiibo, maybe, if Animal Crossing is announced. I would love a Luigi with his vacuum if Luigi's Mansion 3 comes out, but it really does come down to what games Nintendo's going to be pushing this year. Because we already got our Kirby Amiibo, so I don't think anything's connected with Star Allies is going to happen. Maybe something with Yoshi, but again, we already got the Yarn Yoshis, so I think they're going to be wanting to try to branch out beyond those two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, again, it's really impossible to answer this conclusively until we know what they're announcing this year and what games are going to be coming out. However, I don't think Amiibo, they're obviously not as crazy, they're not as important a pillar as they were for Nintendo, but they're not dead, and I don't think Nintendo sees them as a past thing. So I think we'll definitely see several new Amiibo this year, but as to which ones is kind of impossible to say.
Yeah, I mean, if Smash Brothers isn't back this year, it'd be very interesting to see what they do with that line. Do they... I mean, I guess it would just build all new figures for
re-release them all based on their new poses.
No, you know they would.
They totally would. They'd like the Smash Switch edition of each character. Because they're all going to have new key art. Like, they're all going to have new official poses. Oh, man. God.
I don't. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. Like that will be a great litmus test as to how Amiibo are doing. Like if it blows up like they did before, hey, maybe Amiibo's still doing great. But I have a feeling it wouldn't. Although it is on the Switch now, a platform that's being received much better than the Wii U. Although they did have the 3DS as well, which was a much bigger pain to buy Amiibo for, or scan Amiibo in. But yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't. If they did do it. It couldn't have the same functionality that it had in Smash Wii U because how many people even got into that? Like they would have to do something new.
This is the time to bring back the Subspace Emissary and add Amiibo support. Like that's how you unlock helper fighters or unlock their levels. I don't know. I feel like that's the way you bring back the single player though. Tie the Amiibo into it, perhaps as an optional thing, and so you don't require Amiibo to play it. But I think there's potential there to both, revive Amiibo as well as the subspace mode. So
even if we don't get a subspace mode, give us back adventure mode from Melee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was like my main. Like I loved Smash 4, but that was like the main missing element to me, which was a good single player mode, just a meaty, and not even subspace emissary necessarily, because I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But like you said, Derek,
was anyone
Melee's adventure mode? Huh?
Was anyone?
I mean,
I have talked to people who
the first time was awesome.
Well, yeah, but was anyone a fan? I think that mode has not been well received in general. So.
Sure. I have talked to people who really wanted to come back though. I don't get it. I don't think it's a particularly great mode.
Well, I think the idea is to see them cross over like that in a story setting. And improve upon what came before.
Yeah.
That's the appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. As long as it was massively improved, I think it would be okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Forkball asks, what new genres would we like Nintendo to tackle next? After all, there was Splatoon for shooters and ARMS for fighters. So, yeah, what other genres do you think Nintendo could take on for the Switch?
That is so hard, because it feels like they've covered a lot of genres. They've covered sports games. They've covered racers.
Well, but there's subgenres too. There's other sports they could handle, like football, for instance.
Oh God.
So okay, for myself, I'll start things off. I want to see an RTS from Nintendo with most any of their properties. I think there's so much more they could do. They've played around with it with Pikmin. And they've done turn-based strategy, of course, with both Advance Wars and Fire Emblem. But I think RTS is something they've never really, Pikmin really isn't that close to RTS, so I would love for them to experiment with that more. I think Mario would be a prime candidate with just how many creatures there are in that game. So you can have like different factions. You can have like the the Mario faction. You can have the the Bowser faction. Make it like StarCraft. Throw in a third guy like Smithy or something.
Resources going after coins.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You had to harvest coins and question blocks. You can go. You can try to find warp pipes. To find like caverns of coins. I don't know. I think there's a lot Nintendo could do with that though. I think that'd be really fun.
I'm still trying to think of a genre I would like them to tackle. I mean.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a brand new IP that they have like a nice twist of their own in the same vein.
Well, like first-person shooters is something they haven't done really either.
Yeah, but I don't want them to do that. I don't want that. I don't want any sports games. This is a good one. I love how this is the last one because this is like really making us think.
It's tough because I like your idea, Andre.
I know, I like my idea too.
I mean, I almost they've done it in Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, but I would like to see Nintendo tackle possibly like a traditional turn-based RPG. Like they don't really do many of those
with original characters. You mean?
Yeah, with original characters. Like it could be based on an existing IP, but I think I'd rather see Nintendo try to tackle a completely original turn-based Japanese RPG based on an original IP, completely new characters and story. Like maybe, I don't know. Aged like a late teen audience, much like Square Enix might do. I'd love to see them tackle that kind of JRPG.
What if they went the Kingdom Hearts route?
Oh God!
How so?
I mean, well, just in crossing over everything, have Smash Brothers RPG.
Original characters meeting up with other Nintendo properties.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be there for it. They'd have to execute it well. It would have to be a character that I really, I love Sora, Riku, and Kairi and those original characters. So. Those original characters would have to be ones that I like, but otherwise, I'd be there for that.
Yeah, I mean, they could pull it off. To say the least.
I got it. A turn-based captain in RPG.
Oh my God!
Where he goes through each world.
You were speaking my language,
right? And you recruit different characters. Not Green Mega Man. It would have to be regular Mega Man. But anything else, I'm there for it. That'd be awesome.
Oh. I love that idea way too much.
There we go.
I know Andre loves that idea.
We nailed it. No, I totally do. Man,
upgrade his zappers. He can bring out the Super Scope at some point.
Oh, this is... I love it.
We nailed it. We completely nailed it. So unfortunately, now no matter what, 2018 cannot live up to our dream of this Captain N RPG.
You're welcome, Nintendo. That one's free.
Yeah, seriously.
That idea is free.
That'd be great.
I can't match those. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see Nintendo get wacky with a professional wrestling game.
Okay.
I mentioned that I was on that Nintendo World Report podcast, and they had crazy crossover ideas, and I brought up something I would love to see, like a Nintendo wrestling game. Like WWE or whatever, like WWE versus NWO on the N64. That game was so freaking fun.
Yeah, there were some really fun wrestling games.
There were, yeah. Like, you get 4 people in there. The Switch would be a great platform for it, as with every game ever. I think Nintendo, like, if they just went like balls to the wall with it, like if you're just jumping off the ropes constantly, or who knows what else, that could be really fun.
See Nintendo's own crazy designs for original wrestlers and stuff,
right?
That would be
sort of like in ARMS. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Like, I'd like to see that.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, and of course this is not quite the same thing because it would be like a Mario wrestling game. But wasn't Next Level Games? Didn't we find out recently that they were working on a Mario wrestling game after Mario Strikers Charged? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were working on some crazy idea, but
I think Nintendo thought it was too violent, or thought that it didn't represent their characters in the way they wanted them to be seen.
And even Strikers was definitely putting
I know!
envelope.
I was gonna say, like,
that's like after Strikers.
And people love Strikers.
I'm pretty sure Strikers ended up being more violent than whatever that wrestling game was going to be. You're like juking people into electric walls and they're screaming in pain.
But that was Nintendo of 2007.
That's true.
This is Nintendo of 2017, and they may very well be down to do a Mario wrestling game again, now that they're taking more risks, obviously, with their IPs like we've seen in Mario and Rabbids.
And again, it'd be they'd be more open to it if they had all original characters.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. But Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could go the arms route with that. Like, yeah, make a wrestling game with all original characters. Although I think it would be fun if it were, you know.
Oh no, it'd totally be fun if it was wrestling in some form.
Yeah, like I'm imagining like this crazy physics. So
yeah,
like having like Mario being able to bounce around like off the ropes. And...
I mean, I kind of would want a DDD stage because that's DDD's final boss in Dreamland is a wrestling ring.
No, that's a good point.
Oh, you know what? Donkey Kong 64 did that as well. The final battle was in a wrestling ring.
You know, as much as I want this, like, and I really, really do, I can maybe see where Nintendo's coming from here, because I'm trying to envision, like, Mario getting Peach in a chokehold, and it's kind of making me vaguely uncomfortable, just thinking about that, so, you know, I can kind of see where they're coming from with this, maybe not going that route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose
it's a little weird. It's a little different than Smash.
Go original.
Yeah, I think that if they did do this, they would probably need to go original.
Mm-hmm. To broaden the concept, then I don't think it needs to specifically be wrestling, but some kind of like 3D arena based.
Oh man, go
battle.
Power Stone. With
oh
this.
god, Mario Power Stone. Yeah.
You can use the guns even from Mario and Rabbids.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that sounds
There you go.
Oh, that sounds great.
All right.
We're never gonna get any of these.
No, I was gonna say now that we raised the expectations way too high, I think it's time to shut this down. So, guys, any final thoughts you want to add on here before we wrap it up?
Mother 3 in 2018.
Yeah, there you go.
Make it happen.
That'd be amazing.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to whatever games Nintendo shows.
That's it.
Hoping they can give us some nice surprises or just stuff that I need to play this.
Well, hopefully it won't be too long, Derek, because there is that January Direct that should be coming, and hopefully it should be announced in not too long. And of course, that means we'll be back with another predictions piece, probably not too long either. So stay tuned for that, and of course, make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on everything Nintendo Switch and everything else non-Nintendo Switch. I guess that's still Nintendo. Anyways, catch you guys later. Bye.